This video will cover the laws of exponents. First, it is important to understand what an exponent is. An exponent is an operation that tells you how many times to use a number in a repeated multiplication. The number being repeatedly multiplied is called the base, and the amount of times it is to be multiplied is called the exponent, or the power. This expression can be stated as b raised to the nth power, or simply b to the nth. For example, a base of 2 with an exponent of 4 can be stated as 2 to the 4th, and means to use the number 2 in a repeated multiplication 4 times. This can be rewritten as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 and equals 16. Now that we know what exponents are and how they function, we can move on to the laws of exponents. Our first case is where we are given a base with a negative exponent. In order to turn a negative exponent into a positive exponent, we must simply reciprocate it. For example, x to the negative n can be rewritten as 1 over x to the n to remove the negative exponent. Our second case is where we are given a base with a fractional exponent. For example, x to the m over n can be rewritten in one of two ways. The first way is to write it as the nth root of x to the m, and the second equivalent way is to write it as the nth root of x, quantity raised to the m. Our third case is where we are given a base with an exponent of 0. For any non-zero base, this simply equals 1. Our fourth case is where we are given the product of powers with the same base. For example, x to the m times x to the n can be rewritten as x to the m plus n. Our fifth case is where we are given the quotient of powers with the same base. For example, x to the m divided by x to the n can be rewritten as x to the m minus n. Our sixth case is where we are given the power of a power. For example, x to the m quantity raised to the n can be rewritten as x to the m times n. Our seventh case is where we are given the product of two different bases to the same power. For example, x to the n times y to the n can be rewritten as x times y quantity raised to the n. Our eighth case is where we are given the quotient of two different bases to the same power. For example, x to the n divided by y to the n can be rewritten as x divided by y quantity raised to the n. Now, here is a summary of all the exponent laws we have just covered. Feel free to pause the video and record these in your notes to help you when working through exponent problems.